Ciao.
Your phone. How much information about you is stored on it, and how safe do you think that information is? Do you shop online?
That I worry about. And we talk about this a lot on the checklist. I'm sorry. Rob Walch is here with us, everybody. Rob Walch. Today in iOS, that would be the thing. Although his emphasis on podcasting is because you're like an OG as far as podcasts are concerned. Plus, he works at Libsyn, so, tons of knowledge going on there. Here tends to be my concern about privacy stuff. Everybody is now notifying us about, potential breaches of our privacy or violations of our privacy, or just things that we may want to be aware of our privacy. And I'm almost afraid now that they're going to become so commonplace that we're just going to, instead of, being ignorant of what's going on, we're just not going to care. And in a way, we're going to lull ourselves back into ignorance, because everything that we click on at this point is going to say, by the way, they want to know where you are and what you're doing and what you ate last night. And, and they have ways of tracking all this information. And it's going to become like the terms and conditions that we all say that we've read, even though we haven't. We go ahead and click OK, and we go ahead and do whatever we're doing.
See, I click no.
What do you mean you click no?
You can click when they give you the terms and conditions where they say they're going to track you. You have an option on these sites, a lot of these sites to opt out.
I'm not talking about the tracking thing. I'm talking about everything. Like when's the last time you actually read? And you're a different beast. Right. I'll grant you. But when's the last time you actually read the terms and conditions of whatever app you downloaded? Especially if everybody's talking about it, if they're writing about it on CNET, if it's a thing that you want to try out. And you know that 1 million people have already agreed to it today because everybody's talking about it and everybody's using it in their articles all over the place. Do you actually sit and read what I assume would be 28 pages printed, or do you just scroll to the bottom and click I accept?
It depends if I know I'm going to use it or I kind of not sure yet. And I will actually do. But I'm a little bit different.
Yeah. And so that becomes my concern about, because on the one hand, yes, I'm amazed to find out that podcasts can track you, even though I did tell a story yesterday about receiving an ad that was pretty specific. I wouldn't say it was down to my 3-block radius, but it was very specific to where I live. And so that should have actually told me, hey, hold on, something's happening here. Although, again, my assumption was it was tied to my phone, not tied to, the podcast itself. Interestingly, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but this actually pushes into the topic that we had today. So Apple very, very made waves at WWDC by saying, so listen, all of these apps are trying to find out your location. All these apps are trying to find out, your blood sugar and heartbeat and whatever. And we don't understand why they think they should just have that information. So what we're going to do from now on is anytime an app asks to track you, especially track you from one app to another, we're going to tell you that they're trying to do that. And we're going to give you the option of saying yes or no. Funny enough.
That's the way it should be. It's called opt-in. And it's the way it should be.
That is absolutely the way it should be. And earlier this year, I think it was like an advertising association or an advertising and marketing association in Europe, and this is funny to me because Europe, the land of GDPR, right, has come out and advertisers there have come out and said, listen, what Apple's doing, that's going to hurt our business, which I kind of thought was just a warning to its business partners. And then, of course, last week or the week before, Facebook came out and told its advertising partners in, can't remember the name of the program, but basically it said that the ad network that it set up, selling ads for a bunch of different sites, the cross app tracking that it's doing on that, they think when they tell people that that's happening and give them the option of not doing that people are going to opt to not do that. And that could cut revenue from that ad network by as much as 50%, maybe more, according to Facebook, because it turns out people don't want to be tracked. And all this is coming in iOS 14, except now it's not coming as soon as we get iOS 14, because Apple is giving everybody more time
to get their stuff, to get their ducks in a row.
Okay,
and it's not surprising because if you actually read the submission process on apps, you're not allowed to technically submit an app to Apple for approval that has to do with iOS 14 features until iOS 14 launches.
Okay.
So you're not allowed to submit an app for an update and say, oh, this is because of iOS 14 until iOS 14 is launched.
Okay.
You can test it. So this makes sense that this is going to give developers a little bit of time to get their apps ready before they turn that feature on. But right now, Apple's saying it's going to be early in 2021. So starting early next year.
Now, there is a bit of confusion as far as what's coming now and what's coming next, because I
was confused.
Yeah, well, and that's why I bring it up, because if you were confused by it, then some other people might be as well. There is something that's going to be coming relatively soon with iOS 14, and it's the nutrition labels that they talked about at WWDC. And they're not really nutrition labels, but they're likening it to a nutrition label where you can look quickly at an App Store app, and there will be a chart there saying, what kind of information they will ask for. How they will use the information, I'm not sure. That's coming early. What's coming later is our ability to opt out of this. Now, here's the problem I'm having. You're saying, well, it makes sense that they're going to give them more time because they can't submit their apps. Fine. Go ahead and let me see what they're doing anyway. Because if this is bad, then why are we waiting 6 months? Why are we giving, and I don't mean to sound suspicious, except it's Facebook, so I am. Why are we giving Facebook time to figure out a workaround? Why are we?
Well, hopefully there's not a workaround. Hopefully it's just a matter of they have to get the acknowledgments in there or turn off some of those features. But at the end of the day, Facebook complaining that because people are going to actually know what their privacy issues are, is hurting the revenue. Well, if you build a business model based around violating people's privacy, sooner or later those cards they're going to come down, and that's just the way it is.
This is the part that I'm having trouble with. I mean, I don't want, obviously, I don't want anybody business-wise to get hurt. I don't want people to lose money. Just as I don't want to lose money, I don't want businesses, that are not me to lose money. At the same time, if this is bad, 6 months from now, it's bad today. And it was bad in June when they told us, and we currently don't have any way to opt out of it. I kind of feel like, and I know Apple does a lot for privacy. I know Apple does a lot to promote, user privacy and user awareness. I kind of feel like I'm being sold out by Apple on this, because if this is a bad thing and we know that they have ways to stop it from happening, or ways that I can stop it from happening if I want to, but I don't get them yet because it's going to hurt Facebook. I feel like I'm hosed for a few months anyway.
I don't think it has to do with Facebook. I think it has to do with developers said, enough developers said, can you give us some more time? Not just Facebook. I think a lot of developers said, can you give us more time? But I agree. I would love to have seen it at launch. I would love to have seen it, when it launches, if that's going to be late September, or if that's going to be sometime in October, whenever it is that it launches. I would have loved to have seen it then. But I'll take early Q1, Q1 of 2021 over not having it at all, which is what people on Android are looking at.
I just got my ire up.
I agree. I wish Apple had done it earlier. I kind of understand from the app developer's point of view that, look, we just need time. Some of them just need time to get everything worked out. And Apple's going to need time to review a lot of apps that are going to have this. So everyone's going to be putting major apps in there.
Here's a question, though. When you say developers need time to work it out, I mean, what do you suppose has to be worked out? Because is it...
Some of them are going to have to figure out how to do what they're doing without violating privacy.
Okay, well, that goes back to what I was saying earlier then about they're just going to try to find a workaround in that extra time, aren't they?
Well, the way Facebook makes money, right, by tracking you from app to app to app, that's got to go.
Right.
So that's what Apple's saying. Look, you can't, or at least people have to be able to say, yes, you can do that. And most people that know what they're doing are going to say, no. Why does Facebook need to know what I am doing in Tinder?
Right.
So they're going to have to say no to that stuff. Or should.
So I guess the question that I have then is, what is it the developers are working out? Let's assume that things are on the up and up. Let's assume that they're not finding a workaround. I guess if I go into one of these apps today and it says, hey, can I track you from app to app to app? And I say no. Does the app at that point stop working? And so what they're working on a workaround for is how to make the app keep working without that functionality? Or do I just get generic ads at that point? Because that's fine with me if I just get generic ads at that point, as opposed to, is it going to break the whole thing?
I think the majority of this is going to be about advertising. And what they're looking at, some apps have multiple ad partners. They have the hooks and the UIs in there from multiple ad partners.
Right.
So some app devs are out there talking to their ad partners networks and saying what's going to happen when this goes in place. And some of those ad networks are going to have the new reality that they're going to have to sell on content based on what people are looking at,
right,
rather than sites they've visited.
Right.
So, and what I believe is happening here is some app developers are going to need time to pull out all the hooks to different ad partners, maybe switch ad partners to ones that aren't doing that violation, so that they don't have these questions popping up from them.
Is there any chance that developers actually hobble functionality if we say no, you can't? If we opt no, is there any chance that that triggers something else where then, okay, you're only getting 20% of the content or 50%, but if you want the full access, go ahead and give us this permission, and basically like a paywall, except without paying, except paying more actually, because you're giving away tons of information, not just 50 cents.
Is there a chance that some will do that? Yes. Is it a wise move for them to do it? No, because then a competitor app will come along that will offer up the features they just hobbled and take over that market share. So, could someone do that? Could someone say, I'm going to hobble my app? I think it would be a big mistake if they did, but yes, it's a possibility. And again, most cases, what's going to happen is they're just going to have to switch ad partners, and it might be a lower CPM on ads. Or CPC, it depends on how they're having their ad partners. Maybe they just go to a completely CPC model rather than CPM. And that means ads viewed versus ads clicked. CPC is when they click on the ads, they're going to get a certain amount, which wouldn't really matter where people have been. As long as someone's clicking on the ad, that's all they care about. Versus CPM, where they're paying if that ad is even shown on the app, regardless of if there's a click or not. It's just going to be up to the devs on why it is. Now, some of these, you have to go through and look at ads that are asking for location data and go, why is Angry Birds or why is Flappy Birds, one of these apps, why are they asking for my location data? They don't need it, right? That's why. It's things like this. So a lot of it, again, it's about advertising and not how the app works.